I'm John Davis, and this is Motor Week. Join us for some plug-in high performance in the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S E-Hybrid Coupe. Pat Goss lets his fingers do the walking and shopping for car parts. Greg Carlos finds action-packed wheel-to-wheel racing where everyone can join in. And then it's a made-in-America European sedan, the revised Volkswagen Passat. So come drive with us next.
Motor Week, 40 years, steering you in the right direction.
There seems to be no end in sight to what Porsche can do with an SUV, adding more and more performance while also keeping functionality, style, and even efficiency high on the priority list. Well, let's see how all of that comes together in the Cayenne Turbo S E-Hybrid Coupe. ...2020 Porsche Cayenne Turbo S E-Hybrid Coupe. That's a lot of name, but fortunately for us, it's also a heck of a lot of a vehicle. Let's break this plug-in hybrid down. The Cayenne name, of course, indicates the larger of the two utilities that are in the Porsche lineup. Coupe indicates that it's the more stylish and dynamic, but slightly less practical version. Turbo S refers to the high-output 541 horsepower 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that's under the hood. And finally, E-Hybrid denotes the 100-kilowatt electric motor and associated batteries that combines with the V8 for a substantial 670 horsepower and 663 pound-feet of torque, which it then manages to deliver to all four wheels through an 8-speed Tiptronic S automatic transmission. Power pours out of this PHEV in a way that's exhilarating, yet also intimidating at the same time, reminding us of one of our all-time favorite Porsche driving experiences, SUV or otherwise. In the fall of 2004, we got a chance to take the then-new Porsche Cayenne Turbo through the 156-turn, 12.4-mile course of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. We didn't set any records that day, but came away amazed with the amount of performance that Porsche engineers were able to cram into a sport utility vehicle. Of course, driving on battery power alone wasn't even an option back then, but the Turbo S E-Hybrid's 14.1 kilowatt-hour battery allows for 12 miles of strictly EV operation before it reverts to functioning as a full hybrid. E-Hold and E-Power modes allow you to decide when you want to use those EV miles. And no matter where power is coming from, this utility handles better than a heck of a lot of sports cars. It was really just child's play through our slalom course, super quick steering, hardly any roll, feeling very tight and aggressive. And that was before we even put things in either of the two available sport modes. Yes, even in its softest setting, this thing is willing and able. Getting to the main attraction, our first few launches on cold tires were, shall we say, a little more exhilarating than we expected, and that's an understatement. But once the tires were warmed up, it was game on and a whole different experience. Flawless, consistent launches rocketed us to 60 in just 3.7 seconds. Steady, unrelenting power from there on out, combining with lightning-fast shifts, resulted in 11.9-second quarter miles at 121 miles per hour. Now, we've already covered what makes the Cayenne Coupe so special. Lower, sloping roofline, wider stance, and fixed rear spoiler, all unique from the standard Cayenne SUV. Here in the Turbo S E-Hybrid, you can add to that the acid green treatment applied to the brake calipers and logos, which really seems to pop on our lava orange tester. The optional lightweight sport package in black adds wider 22-inch GT design wheels with fender extensions to cover them, sport exhaust system with black tips, and a carbon fiber roof. Inside, there are plenty of soft Alcantara materials as well as silver and carbon fiber trim. Optional adaptive Sport Plus seats hug you in all the right ways, as does the seatbelt when you fire things up. Cargo capacity is, of course, the only thing you're compromising here. If you need more than the 17.6 cubic feet of space that's in the cargo bay, stick with the regular Cayenne. You'll get 22.7 cubic feet. Max is 50.8. Or you could tow it behind you, as both have the same tow rating of 7,700 pounds. Government fuel economy ratings are 18 combined, with an MPGe rating of 39 combined. Putting the two together for a test loop, we averaged a decent 20.8 miles per gallon of premium fuel. That's an average energy impact score, 13.1 barrels of annual petroleum consumption with 6 tons of CO2 emissions. As for pricing, well, a Turbo S e-hybrid will set you back $165,750. That's $40,100 over the plain Jane Cayenne Turbo SUV we tested last year. Is it worth it? Depends on what your priorities are. It's certainly techier and faster. It looks cooler and has a lot more standard features. Plus, you can drive it around town like an EV. So while the Porsche Taycan Pure EV lineup is grabbing most of the current headlines, plug-in hybrids like this 2020 Porsche Cayenne Turbo SE Hybrid Coupe will have a more significant impact for the near future, showcasing the potential of electrification both for performance and for the environment's sake, while still giving buyers the freedom to easily roam as far and wide as they desire. Here at Motor Week, we're fans of all things automotive, and that's especially true of our over-the-edge guy, Greg Carlos. He'll drive just about anything, but this week he scales down, trades his steering wheel for a controller, but keeps all the fun.
I've had my fair share of remote control cars, and usually after just a few hours and maybe a couple jumps, they would meet a spectacular demise. But here, they take this hobby to the next level. Adrenaline RC Racing in Winchester, Virginia is the embodiment of the saying, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And what owner Seth Hardison did was create a local mecca for radio control car enthusiasts.
So this building that we're in now is my hobby store, and we are mostly a pro shop. So we gear towards the race cars. And then behind me is pitting. So on race day or even on practice day, people can come, just drop all their gear in and hang out, kind of like a corner bar for RC racers.
The racing takes place just steps from the shop on a well-manicured dirt track housed completely undercover. But for those who embrace the elements, Adrenaline offers an ever-expanding rock crawling course for miniature wranglers and the like to strut their stuff. The main draw during my visit is a USRC Championship Series event on the indoor track.
Well, we're touring the East Coast, promoting a race series, traveling all of our region too. This is our home track, so we kind of base out of here.
We have today we got about 6 different classes that we are running. You can run nitro, you can run electric, you can run a Sportman.
Electric RC cars are mounting a charge with advances in battery technology, but the nitro cars, powered by tiny 2-stroke engines, get top billing here with a 30-minute race to end the day, which does require pit stops.
The car goes into the pit lane. There is a pit guy over there. Fill the car. Also, if you need to adjust the needles, like the top end, the bottom end, they do that for you from down there.
The cars are highly tunable. They have fluid-filled diffs, fluid-filled shocks. They're completely tunable. Every aspect of the car is adjustable to actually work around the track.
When geared for longer tracks, these 1/8 scale cars can reach speeds over 40 miles per hour while spending half their time in the air. And no one here spends more time in the air than Ryan Lutz.
My name is Ryan Lutz, and I'm a professional remote control car driver. I fly probably 100,000 plus miles a year in general, all around the world. You kind of go to a race and you compete against other competitors, try to win for your sponsors, and at the same time you're also trying to help the customers, trying to give them a good experience with the hobby and learning how to do it.
RC racing is, at its core, a hobby, with a tight-knit community eager to teach newcomers like myself what it's all about.
Say track ethics, you know, good sportsmanship. Coming out to Marshall is a biggie because a lot of guys, you know, they overlook that part, and it's crucial, you know, to keep the program going.
I would really love it if people thought of it as a potential sport, you know, like soccer and baseball. Usually you tell them, oh, I race remote control cars, and they're like, oh, that's a toy. And it is a toy, potentially, but, I mean, we also race seriously, and it's like a little car. Plus, there's just the pure adrenaline rush from driving.
Fittingly, Adrenaline RC Racing offers a track day unlike any I've experienced, and there's no doubt about it. These miniature cars are full-size fun.
It's never been easier for all of us to buy the parts we need for our cars online. But Pat Goss has some words of advice before you click on Buy Now.
If you know anything at all about automobiles, you know that over the last few years they have changed dramatically. And that means that the parts that they're made up of have changed as well. And joining us now remotely is Mr. Tom Taylor, our parts expert. Tom, welcome to Goss's Garage.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
All right, now, what are some of the things that you're seeing a lot of problems with as far as replacement parts go?
Well, one part that people may not know their vehicle even has is called a grille shutter. And it's like a Venetian blind that fits behind the grille on the vehicle, and it shuts off when the vehicle gets up to speed, so the vehicle becomes more aerodynamic, fuel efficiency increases, and the computer can better control the engine temperature. Even in real cold weather, it can stay closed longer, so you don't need to put cardboard over your grill if it's 40 below outside or something. The slats will be closed in that Venetian blind and maintain the right temperature. But Ford introduced these grille shutters maybe 2012. Other manufacturers have added them over the years, so most vehicles have them now, Ram trucks, Subarus, Nissans. And after a lot of years and miles, that Venetian blind will start to jam up, the motor will fail, and you'll have a check engine light come on, or the vehicle will run hot and start to overheat because those little slats aren't opening. So, yeah, they're starting to need to be replaced as the miles and years add up.
All right, yeah, we're seeing some of them come into the shops now, just plain worn out. But something else that we see a lot of problems with is steering angle sensors.
Right, that's another one that people may not know they have. There's the sensors inside the steering wheel, and it tells the computer where the steering wheel is, where the steering is, and you may see trouble codes that are anti-lock brake trouble codes, cruise control. Even the turn signal switch reset may not work properly if that angle sensor is not right. So, yeah, it's important to not just look at the symptom, trace it back to, okay, this is the root cause, is the angle sensor inside the steering wheel.
Yeah, so you need a technician that knows what they're doing in order to diagnose these things.
Right. Yeah, and the steering wheel angle position sensors have been around for quite a long time now, since the 90s at least.
Okay, Tom, thank you so very much. And if you have a question or a comment, drop me a line right here at Motor Week.
This original blue 1989 Chrysler Conquest TSI is our Motor Week 40th anniversary car of the week. Brian Wagner from West Friendship, Maryland, bought this Mitsubishi-built 2.6-liter Turbo 4 GT out of nostalgia for one he owned in the 90s. Submit photos of your memory-filled ride for Car of the Week consideration to motorweek@pbs.org. There's always something making headlines in the car world, so let's go to Lauren Morrison with this week's Motor News.
We're all anxiously awaiting the 2021 Ford Bronco, and now it looks like we'll have to wait just a little bit longer. The Bronco was originally scheduled for a spring 2021 launch, but now the 2- and 4-door models won't arrive until the summer because of coronavirus-related supplier issues, reportedly with the removable roof panels. The Sasquatch version with the manual transmission will be launched even later. Self-driving cars with no safety driver behind the wheel have hit the streets of San Francisco. General Motors subsidiary Cruise started testing 5 vehicles in November and just released this video of the drive. There is still a person in the passenger seat, but they have no manual control of the vehicle. Cruise does have a team of people that remotely monitor the driverless cars, but wouldn't say if they could take over the controls if something went wrong. GMC Sierra buyers will soon be able to let their trucks do even more of the heavy lifting when it comes to towing. The Sierra 1500 Denali will have the latest version of Super Cruise when it launches in late model year 2022 and will include the ability to tow while driving hands-free. Pioneered by Cadillac, the driver assistance technology uses a small camera at the top of the steering wheel to determine where the driver is looking when Super Cruise is being used. If this system detects the driver isn't paying attention, it'll prompt the driver to put their focus back on the road ahead. And GM isn't the only automaker slowly starting to ease into autonomous driving with hands-free systems for the open roads. Ford announcing its active driver assist technology will be coming to the 2021 F-150 and the all-electric Mustang Mach-E. Porsche ventured into the SUV segment almost 2 decades ago, and they just hit a major milestone with the Cayenne. Porsche debuted the company's first SUV in 2002, and it was quite controversial then, considering Porsche's lineup had only ever consisted of sports cars. But fast forward, and now the 1 millionth Cayenne has rolled off the production line in Slovakia. The Cayenne GTS in carmine red was delivered to a customer in Germany. Not bad, considering it took the 911 more than half a century to hit the same milestone. And that does it for this week's Motor News.
We've driven 9,800 miles in this 2020 Fiat 500X so far, and have recently been reminded of just how European it is. From the firm seats that offer good long-distance comfort, to the quick-on-the-trigger turbo engine, and even the somewhat choppy ride on city streets. Yet, it feels plenty solid enough for stress-free interstate travel.
Subcompact vehicles like this 500X often don't get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to highway comfort. Yes, it has a short wheelbase, and we've noted its stiff suspension. Yet, somehow, it's still a comfy highway cruiser.
Currently, mileage sits at 27.1 miles per gallon, which is just above the government's combined rating for this 177 horsepower, 1.3-liter Turbo 4. Time now to check in on our 2020 Hyundai Palisade and update you on a previously mentioned item. That garlicky smell that many owners have complained about has been traced to the headrests, specifically to the faux leather that covers them. So if you've experienced the problem, your local dealer should be able to alleviate it by removing the coverings and applying some odor neutralizer. As for less olfactory matters, not much holiday travel for the Palisade this year due to the current virus situation. So we've added mostly around town miles since the last report, now totaling 16,500 over 13 months, with an average fuel economy of 21.7 miles per gallon. And so far, the Palisade has had no mechanical issues. Speaking of mechanical things, while we do miss the traditional hand shifter, we appreciate the storage options freed up in the console by the push-button setup. Indeed, console-mounted shift levers are slowly going the way of ashtrays and cassette decks. We'll keep things rolling with updates on the Kia Seltos and our Goodyear Winter Command Ultra tires on the next Motor Week long-term road test update.
It's hard to believe it, but this fourth-generation Volkswagen Passat has been around since 2012. That's when this European-designed four-door helped launch Volkswagen's new U.S. assembly plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So for 2020, it's not all new, but it has received a much-needed and quite comprehensive update. So let's see the results. In a world of shrinking mid-size four-door sedan sales, keeping the 2020 Volkswagen Passat rolling on its current chassis is a wise business decision. Giving it a comprehensive makeover inside and out is an even better one. That certainly applies to the exterior, as only the roof carries over. The replacement sheet metal features a very coupe-like shape, more akin to the handsome Arteon, while the increasingly rounded face is far less conservative than before. Wheelbase remains a long 110.4 inches, providing elegant proportions and a wealth of space inside. It's still not flashy, but slimmer headlights, the more expressive face, and the 18-inch alloy wheels of our SEL test car all contribute to making it a lot less generic looking. Inside, an updated horizontal dash design lends an increasingly upscale feel, as well as showcases a more modern-looking IP. The 6.3-inch composition media touchscreen for VW's MIB2 infotainment is smaller than many of its competitors, but its tablet-style operation is very logical. It's easy to read, responds quickly to inputs, and blends into the dash instead of dominating it. Gauges are typical VW, clear and precise with a bright color info center between the large speedometer and tach. Materials range from cloth to VTEX to this SEL's leather coverings. SEL also adds comfort sports seats, which are 8-way adjustable for both up front and heated for both front and rear, as well as our favorite extra, the Fender 400-watt premium audio system. And not to worry, the coupe-like redesign did not take away any of the immense amount of space we've come to love in the Passat. There's still an impressive 39.1 inches of rear seat legroom and a healthy 15.9 cubic feet of storage space in the trunk. No one does interior packaging better than Volkswagen. The days of having multiple engines to choose from in the Passat are long gone, now limited to just the 174 horsepower 2-liter i4 turbo. But for the good news, it delivers 22 additional pound-feet of torque thanks to a slight retune, now cranking out 206 pound-feet. It sticks with a 6-speed automatic transmission and is, of course, front-wheel drive only. But the whole package was only good for a 0 to 60 time of 8.5 seconds at our test track. That's about 2 seconds slower than the previously available V6 and slower than most of its competition as well. Likewise, the quarter mile was a pokey 16.5 seconds at 88 miles per hour. We would certainly appreciate a little more power, but VW clearly wants to reserve that for the Arteon as the flagship four-door for the brand. But the Passat has never really been about drag racing. Witness our first Passat test from 1990. After being underwhelming in the quarter mile, we noted steering was precise and just right, cutting through the gates of our slalom course with the tenacity of the smaller Jetta GLI, all with the stable, stuck-to-the-road feel we love so much in German sedans costing thousands more. 30 years later, things are mostly the same. Despite its larger size and supposedly less sophisticated American chassis, the Passat still equates itself quite well through a handling course. So maybe it's not as responsive as a true sports sedan, but it's very solid and stable with only slight understeer and doesn't get flustered when you push it. The steering offers a fair amount of feel through the wheel and action is precise. Stability control is always on standby, of course, and will step in quickly unless you keep input smooth. Stepping on the brake pedal in earnest resulted in an average stopping distance of just 104 feet from 60. Good for the segment, but stops were a little inconsistent throughout our testing. Safety systems get an update for 20. Forward collision warning and autonomous emergency braking are standard, with lane assist and rear traffic alert optional. Government fuel economy ratings are 23 city, 34 highway, and 27 combined. We averaged a fine 30.3 miles per gallon of regular. With lots of added standard equipment, base pricing of $23,915 is more than reasonable. Top SEL starts at $32,015. While the 2020 Volkswagen Passat alone won't reverse the trend of slumping sedan sales, it does show Volkswagen is committed to the segment and proves that sedans offer greater value than ever. Space, comfort, European-style luxury and road manners, but still on a budget, the Passat continues to deliver. Well, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, for more Motor Week, including daily news updates, podcasts, and even complete episodes, cruise on over to pbs.org/motorweek. And I hope you'll join us next time for a full throttle road test of the all-new Acura TLX. Then we'll plug into what's new for the Chrysler Pacifica. Till then, I'm John Davis. We'll see you right here on Motor Week.
To learn more about Motor Week, television's original automotive magazine, visit pbs.org/motorweek. This program was produced by Maryland Public Television, which is solely responsible for its content.
Karibu Chato Beach Resort iliyoko Chato mkoani Geita. Unakumbuka nini juu ya huduma bora wakati wa mapumziko yako? Je, ni ule upepo unaovuma kutoka pwani ya Ziwa Victoria, huku vipepeo na sauti za ndege zikipamba ngoma ya masikio yako? Au uzuri wa vyakula kwa utaalamu wa ladha kutoka bahari ya Hindi, Kichina hadi vyakula vya bara na vya Kiswahili? Au lepe la usingizi kutoka kwenye vyumba vyenye hadhi ya nyota 5? Ama ndo ile raha ya maji kwenye swimming pool safi yenye maji ya kunukia? Unakumbuka? Hapana? Karibu Chato Beach Resort iliyoko Chato mkoani Geita, au tupigie. Chato Beach Resort. Mapumziko ya kweli.